Alright, so in our previous lesson we learned how to cast on, and these are our cast on stitches right here. This is the tail that's just going to dangle for now, and this is the thread that we are currently feeding from the skein. So what we're going to do is learn how to do this in a manner that I taught myself. I came from a background of crocheting for 30 years and multiple failed attempts at learning how to knit because the maneuvers did not make sense to me, and sometimes they felt like there were some unnecessary movements. So amidst reading and learning different techniques, I came up with this one because it felt the most comfortable to me. So what we're going to do is I hold my thread just exactly how I did when I crocheted. So I wrap it around this finger, pull it through, and around this one. This is how I held my thread when I crocheted. So now it makes sense to me, and I figured out a way that I can continue to feed my thread that way while knitting. So what we have here is, once again, this is the tail, and this is the end that is fed by the thread. So we're going to take it to the back of our needle, and I'm going to put it on my hand just like I did when I crocheted. Different people hold their thread differently when they crochet, so I encourage you to try that. Whatever way that you held your thread whenever you crocheted, it would probably work the same. So now we have this needle in this hand, and this is the needle we're going to make all the stitches with now. And it's going to remain fairly independent, somewhat similar as when you crochet. So the first row is always a little more difficult until we get this all established. So this one is going to be a little bit of a challenge, but it should get easier as the rows go on. The first thing I'm going to show you how to do is a knit stitch. So what we're going to do is take this, let me get a little closer here, and we're going to push it through this. And when you push that through there, this first one's a little tricky, like I said, and you're going to grab that and pull it through. So now you have your first stitch, and you pull it off. So once you pull it off, you've got one stitch on here, and you've got the remaining stitches here. You're going to keep your thread at the back, and you're going to do it again. So you're going to go in this direction, into the hole, into the stitch, and you're going to grab this stitch behind and pull it through. And you pull it off. Once again, you're going to do it again. So I like to use this finger to kind of hold on to that stitch to keep it from slipping off as I go. It becomes less important later, but when these cast on stitches, they tend to move around. So we're going to do that again. We're going to go in this direction. We're going to grab that thread and pull it through and pull it off. And again, we're going to go through, pull this thread and pull it off. We're going to repeat that through these stitches, pull them off, go in, grab that thread, pull it off. You can push these all along the way. Make sure you don't push it too far, they'll fall off the end. So kind of keep a hold of it with this finger. So once again, we're going to go through this, grab this thread, pull it through, and pull it off. And then we're going to do it again, grab it, pull it through, pull it off. Once you get the hang of this, it is actually a form of speed knitting. And since you've eliminated some of the maneuvers that go along with it, then it actually does move along pretty quickly. You'll find yourself doing it as quickly as when you would crochet. So this is what it looks like in motion. Just keep feeding it and pulling it through. And that is my cat. Her name is Mouse. She is assisting with me as she does frequently. Alright, we're almost to the end of this row. And when you get to the end of the row and you do the very last one, you're ready to turn it around. So this is your first row of stitches here. And it looks kind of funky right now, but it will smooth out. So what we're going to do now is turn it all around this way and start again. Be careful not to get your tail confused. That's still going to dangle here by itself independently. You're going to take your main thread that you're still feeding and pull it to the back again. So now you've got this thread is the thread coming from the yarn. It's the skein itself. You're going to pull it to the back. You're going to re-put it on your fingers as if you were crocheting. You're going to line these up and get your second needle here. And once again, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to go through this, grab the thread behind it and pull it through and pull it off. And once again, you're going to do it again. Grab it, pull it off. Grab this thread, pull it through, pull it off. Grab the thread, pull it through, pull it off. This row should start feeling a little easier. It's a little more loose. And so if the stitches go through a lot easier. So you're going to go through and pull it off. Go through, grab this thread, pull it off. Go through the thread, pull it off. And you're going to repeat this through the end. And this is what it looks like when it's in motion. We're kind of just pulling it through here. And you can see that this remains fairly independent, somewhat similar to when you're crocheting and all your other stitches remain over here. And then we are at the end again. So we're going to turn it. Once again, you have this. I'm going to pull it to the back. Now, when you do knit stitches every single row, you're going to end up with something we call a garter stitch. It's not necessarily going to look like a knit stitch itself. It's going to turn into kind of a bumpy texture. In order to make it always look like a knit stitch, you would knit one row and purl one row. So when you do that, and that will be a technique I'll show you next, we'll learn how to purl using the same technique as I do to knit. And it's what makes it easy to transition back and forth, I think, between knitting and purling. And which, you know, adds to the effect of the speed knitting. And here you go. This is what it looks like.